Okay. So like I was just mentioning, what we're going to want to do is we need the copy of this surface because that's going to be the inside of the secondary surface that's going to butt against there. So again, we want to go to offset. We don't actually want to offset it, we just want to copy it. You know, so by copying it, it gives us 0. This is one of the weird things. So we're going to just do that. And what we can then do is we're just going to hide. Oh. No, we're just going to hide the other surface that we don't need right now. And I'm just going to take a quick look at your board, and then I'm just going to fudge this in. Okay. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to create that curve that we're going to use to trim this surface back. So let's come in. We're just going to go to whatever plane. So we're going to go to the front plane. And we'll just drop in a quick spline. Because what we're going to do is create a curve on surface. Or we're going to use it to create the split line. So there we've got that. We don't need to extrude or intersect or anything because we're already creating the base form for our exterior surface. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and go insert curve, and we're going to insert a split line. It's going to be a projection because we know that it's just on that plane, so it's just going to automatically project it. We'll select the surface. And now you can see here, this is where having all those wrinkles kind of comes into effect versus those clean, smooth. So in order to fix some of these wrinkles, you need a few more guide curves for your primary surface. Does that make sense?
Kind of like in the middle, like from the ankle to the laces, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Okay.
So you should see in Josh's that he might have a few more guide curves. I'd have to go back and look on that first primary surface build. So let's go back to...
I've changed the top a few times because I don't have a true top, and I keep finding
that's fine.
roller skates with like it open, so I've been playing with it.
Yeah. So now that we've got this, what we're going to do is we don't need this portion of the surface. So we'll just delete that face. We want to make sure it's fully deleted. Now, this gives us the inside of that additional piece of fabric that's going to wrap around. So this is where we'll do a thicken. This is where a thicken could potentially work nicely. We're going to come in and we're going to go thicken, thicken. And we're going to go the opposite direction. So again, you can kind of see these little lines. The black shows it going in. The black is the center. You know, both directions, one direction. I'm just going to go with, I don't know what the material thickness is. So I'm just going to go with 1 mil. So there, now we've thickened it. And let's pull up your other, there we go. So there now you can see that we've got that extra piece.
Seems like I should have offsetted it to get that like delete and extra. Okay, that's what I'm missing.
Yeah. Now it looks as if with this thicken, you went outboard. That's why we're losing the other one. So I'm just going to go inboard here, and we're going to make it 1 mil.
This thicken is my initial thicken, right?
Yeah. So this is where, when you're modeling it, find out what that actual leather material would be, or find a piece of leather. 3 mil seems pretty thick. I don't know. So you're also going to want to get this to be a little bit more foot size. Find a top view of a sneaker so you can see how it fits in. But there, and now we're just going to come in. Come on. There. So, and then there's that. Now, let's say we want to do the stitch pattern along there, or the holes for the stitching. So what we can do is we're going to come in here, we're going to do another sketch because we want to get or you know what? We're going to draw a spline on the surface. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to go sketch. I'm going to go with a 3D sketch. And then I'm going to go spline on a surface. Because that's where we want the pattern to go along. So we're just going to start down here, let's say. Come on. Why? Let me get out of here. I want to hide everything else here. So we're going to come. That's a solid, okay. So obviously I'm not taking too much care. Now what we can do is we want to create what, come on. I snapped to the wrong thing there somehow. So I'm just going to delete that. Sometimes this is the problem with going too quick. Huh, maybe it doesn't want to wrap around. I don't think it wants to wrap around that corner like that. So that might need to be something that gets fixed. But anyways, so we're going to come in now and we're going to create a hole. So this is where you do whatever stitch pattern you want or whatever you want it to look like. And you may also want to talk to Nathan because he achieved this in his headphones too. So we'll go in and we'll do a new sketch. And we're going to say like this would be like as if you were doing the ringlets. So we'll do the sketch. You had it on the front plane. And we're just going to start there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude, so I'm going to make a hole, because we're going to do the feature. We're going to pattern the feature. So let me come in, and we're going to extrude this. Now I don't want to extrude it all the way from the back there. I want to get it as close as I can. So I'm going to go offset from the plane. So that we get it like that. And I actually wanted to do an extrude cut.
Nathan saying stitching with a curvature driven pattern.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're doing here. My curve just happened to be on the surface. So now let's get out of here. And we're going to come back to our features. So it's still under a pattern. But if you select here, now you can see a curve-driven pattern. Do you see that? There's also a sketch-driven pattern. So we're going to go with curve. So the very first thing it asks for is what's the direction. So we're going to select that as the direction. We want to do a feature. So we're going to select that as the feature. Let's go with equal spacing. Come on. What just happened there? Features. Cut. Why is it not giving me what I want? So we got that, we got that. There we go. So I had to select the face. And now you can see you can do spacing, or you can say, well, hey, let me count this out. There's 15 eyelets, and they're all equally spaced, so I'm going to say 15. So there's a couple different ways to control that. That way you're just getting the exact number. Now, see here, so this one was a straight extrude out, and all this is doing is just lifting this up and cutting it out and extruding it. So you can kind of see, okay, so sometimes, let me just show you what I did there. Sometimes, and I, to be honest with you, I don't necessarily understand this fully, but sometimes when you do it, nobody's selected for feature scope. So what you need to do is turn off geometry pattern, because it's a feature, not actual geometry. But here, when we do this, you can kind of see that it all comes out and it doesn't actually, the pattern follows that curve, but it does this. It doesn't rotate with the surface. So if you want it coming out in the direction of the surface, what you can do is come in here and say, I want it to transform with the curve. So now, if you take a look, offset from the curve, see this, see how the shape is here? It's basically coming straight out. If I go transform with the curve, now what it's doing is as it goes up, that piece that we extruded is changing to match the normals of the surface. So, and because if you were to cut this in a flat, then you bend the curves. So, is this what you were looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
Then I'm assuming you would kind of do that with the stitching element in a sense too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Let me... Okay, I'm going to pause this.